The sun was bright in London that day. Thousands of people crowded the streets near Buckingham Palace. They all wanted to see the royal family on the famous balcony. This was a big event that happened every year. People loved to watch the royals wave and smile. Prince William and Kate stood in the middle of the balcony. William wore his smart military uniform with gold buttons and badges. Kate had on a light blue dress that matched the clear sky above. She also wore a small hat that sat perfectly on her head. They both smiled and waved to the crowd below. The people cheered loudly. Some held British flags. Others took pictures with their phones. Children sat on their parents' shoulders to get a better view. Everyone wanted to see the royal couple who would one day be king and queen. William and Kate had been married for many years now. They had 3 children who were also on the balcony that day. The children waved to the crowd too, copying their parents. The whole scene looked perfect, like something from a storybook. Then something strange happened. William turned to Kate. He leaned close to her ear. His lips moved as he whispered something to her. No one in the crowd could hear what he said, but everyone could see what happened next. Kate's face changed completely. Her eyes got big. Her smile froze. For a moment, she looked truly shocked. She even took a small step back. Then, as quick as it happened, she put her smile back on. But it was different now. The smile did not reach her eyes. A royal photographer caught this exact moment on camera. The picture showed Kate's surprised face perfectly. Later that day, the photo appeared online. Soon, it was everywhere. People all over the world saw it and began to ask questions. What had Prince William said to make Kate react that way? Was it good news or bad news? Why did she look so shocked? These questions spread across the internet like wildfire. Everyone had a theory, but no one knew the truth. News shows talked about nothing else that evening. One reporter said, "In all my years covering the royal family, I have never seen the Duchess look so surprised in public." Another said, "The palace has not commented on what was said, which is very unusual." By nightfall, the photo had been seen by millions of people. Social media was full of guesses about what William had whispered. Some people thought it must be something about another royal family member. Others guessed it was about their children. A few even wondered if Kate was going to have another baby. The next morning, Kate and William were supposed to visit a new hospital. Many reporters went there, hoping to ask them questions. But at the last minute, the palace announced that Kate would not be coming. William went alone. When reporters asked him about the whisper, he just smiled and said, "Some things are just between husband and wife." This made people even more curious. If it was nothing important, why wouldn't they just say what it was? Why was Kate suddenly not attending events? Something big was happening in the royal family, and the world was desperate to know what. As the day ended, more royal watchers noticed something else strange. Kate's parents were seen driving into Kensington Palace, where William and Kate lived. They stayed for many hours. When they left, they did not look happy. What was going on behind those palace walls? The mystery was only getting deeper. 3 days passed since the balcony moment. The world still talked about the whisper. News teams camped outside Kensington Palace day and night. They hoped to catch a glimpse of Kate or get a comment from someone who knew something. Inside the palace, things were not normal. Staff members noticed that Kate spent a lot of time on the phone in her private office. She spoke in a quiet voice and stopped talking whenever someone entered the room. The palace workers had never seen her act this way before. William also acted differently. He canceled 2 public events that week. This was very unusual for him. He always took his royal duties very seriously. A palace worker overheard him say, "We need to handle this carefully. The timing has to be perfect." On the 4th day, Kate finally appeared in public again. She visited a children's hospital as planned. She smiled and talked with the sick children. She read them stories and gave out toys. But people who watched her closely could see that something was off. She checked her phone 11 times in 1 hour, said a nurse who was there, and twice she stepped away to make calls. I heard her say, "Yes, I understand how big this is." She seemed worried. That same day, royal watchers spotted something else interesting. William's younger brother, Harry, was seen at an airport in America. He was getting on a plane to London. Harry had moved away from England years ago after some problems with the royal family. He rarely came back, and never without announcing it first. Prince Harry making a sudden trip to London can only mean one thing, said a royal expert on TV. This is a family emergency. Whatever William whispered to Kate must be very serious indeed. The next morning, Harry arrived in London. He went straight to Kensington Palace. Cameras caught him rushing inside, looking serious. He carried only a small bag, suggesting he planned a short stay. Later that day, William's father, King Charles, canceled his events too. The palace said he had urgent family matters to attend to. Now, 3 major royals had changed their plans in the same week. This had never happened before unless someone was very sick or had died. People began to worry. Was someone in the royal family ill? Was there a secret crisis? Some people even suggested that William and Kate might be splitting up. The rumors got wilder each day. Social media exploded with theories. People studied old videos of William and Kate for clues. They looked at recent photos to see if anyone seemed sick. Some even claimed they could read William's lips in the balcony video. He definitely said something about leaving or change, one lip-reading expert claimed on a morning show. Whatever it was not something Kate expected to hear. By the end of the week, the royal family surprised everyone. They announced a press conference for the next day. This was very rare. The royals almost never held press conferences to address rumors. Prince William and the Duchess of Cambridge will address the recent speculation tomorrow at 10 a.m., the short statement read. Nothing more was said. The announcement sent the media into a frenzy. News channels began special coverage. Royal experts were called in to give their opinions. Everyone had the same question. What was so important that William had whispered it to Kate? And why did it require a press conference to explain? That night, lights stayed on late at Kensington Palace. Security was increased around the building. Staff members were seen bringing in equipment for the press conference. Something big was about to be revealed to the world. As people went to bed that night, many set alarms to wake up for the press conference. Whatever William had whispered to Kate on that balcony was finally going to be shared with the world. And based on all the unusual activity, it seemed certain to be something that would change the royal family forever. The morning of the press conference arrived. Hundreds of reporters gathered outside Kensington Palace. TV cameras were set up in rows. People from all over the world watched live streams on their phones and computers. Everyone wanted to know what Prince William had whispered to Kate on that famous day. Inside the palace, staff members rushed around making final preparations. A large room had been set up with a podium and royal flags. Chairs were arranged in neat rows for the press. Security guards checked everyone who entered the room carefully. At exactly 10 in the morning, the doors opened. William and Kate walked in together. They held hands, which some people saw as a good sign. William wore a dark blue suit. Kate wore a simple green dress. Both looked serious but calm. King Charles came in behind them. This surprised everyone. No one expected the king to be there. Harry also entered the room and sat to the side. The 4 royals nodded to each other as if sharing a secret message. William stepped up to the podium first. The room fell completely silent. People could hear the clicking of cameras as photographers took hundreds of pictures. William cleared his throat and began to speak. "Thank you all for coming today," he said in a clear voice. "We know there has been much talk about what I said to my wife on the balcony last week. Today we will explain everything." He looked at Kate, who gave him an encouraging smile. Then he continued. "What I whispered to Kate that day was news that we had just received moments before stepping onto the balcony. News that would change not just our lives, but potentially the lives of many people around the world." The room was so quiet you could hear people breathing. William paused, then spoke again. I told Kate that my father, King Charles, had just decided to step down as king. Gasps filled the room. Reporters started shouting questions all at once. William held up his hand for silence. "Please let me finish," he said firmly. "My father has not been feeling well for some months now. He has decided that the best thing for his health and for the country is to pass the crown to me sooner rather than later." King Charles stood up then. He looked tired but determined. "This was not an easy decision," the king said, "but it is the right one. William and Kate are ready to lead, and I wish to enjoy some years of retirement, something most kings never get to do." Kate stepped forward next. She spoke softly but clearly. "When William told me this on the balcony, I was completely shocked. We had discussed this possibility, but never thought it would happen so soon. That is why my reaction was caught on camera. I was trying to process the news that we would soon be king and queen." Now Harry spoke up from his seat. "When I heard the news, I knew I had to come home. Despite our differences in the past, this is a historic moment for our family. I wanted to be here to support my brother and father during this transition." William returned to the podium. "We will have a formal ceremony next month. Until then, my father remains king. We wanted to tell the public now to end the wild rumors and speculation." The room erupted with questions. Reporters stood up, shouting and waving their hands. William answered as many as he could. "Yes, this is why we all canceled events. We needed time to plan this announcement. No, my father is not critically ill. He simply wants to retire while he can still enjoy life. Yes, this is why Kate's parents came to visit. We needed to tell our family first." As the press conference ended, people around the world sat in stunned silence. The whisper that shocked Kate had now shocked everyone. Britain would soon have a new king and queen, and it had all started with a few quiet words on a palace balcony. The image that had launched 1,000 theories now had a real explanation, and it was bigger than anyone had guessed. The news spread across the world like wildfire. King Charles stepping down, William and Kate becoming king and queen. It was the biggest royal story in decades. Every newspaper had it on the front page. Every TV channel talked about nothing else. After the press conference, William and Kate returned to their private rooms in the palace. They sat down with their 3 children to explain what was happening. The children had many questions. Would they have to move to a new home? Would they see less of their parents now? Would they have new rules to follow? "Things will change," William told them gently. "But we will still be the same family. We will face this together." Kate looked worried as she watched her husband speak to their children. Being queen was not something she had expected so soon. She had thought they would have many more years to prepare. Now everything was moving so fast. Outside the palace walls, people gathered in large crowds. Some brought flowers, others waved flags. Many just wanted to be there for this historic moment. Police had to set up special barriers to control the growing numbers. "I never thought I would see a new king and queen in my lifetime," said an old woman who had been waiting outside for hours. "Charles has only been king for a short time since Queen Elizabeth died. Now we will have King William. It feels like the end of an era." Meanwhile, inside the palace, plans were being made quickly. Royal staff rushed around with papers and schedules. There would be many ceremonies and events to plan. The coronation would be the biggest of all. This was when William and Kate would officially become king and queen. That evening, William called his closest friends. He needed their support now more than ever. Kate called her sister Pippa, who promised to come stay with them during this difficult time. Harry also announced he would remain in London until after the coronation. "I will stand by my brother," Harry told reporters outside his hotel. "Family comes first at times like these." The next day, William and Kate made their first public appearance since the announcement. They visited a small town in the north of England. People lined the streets to see them. Children gave Kate flowers. Old people shook William's hand. "How does it feel to be our future king?" Someone shouted from the crowd. William smiled and answered, It feels like a great honor and a great responsibility. I only hope I can make you all proud. Kate bent down to speak to a little girl who had given her a drawing. The girl asked, "Will you wear a big crown all the time when you are queen?" Kate laughed and said, "Only on special days. Most days I will just be a mother who happens to have a very unusual job." The crowd loved this answer. People clapped and cheered. Many took pictures on their phones. These would be the last images of William and Kate as just a prince and duchess. Soon they would be something much more. That night, television showed a special program about William's life. It showed him as a baby with his mother, Princess Diana. It showed him growing up, going to school, joining the military. It showed him meeting Kate at university, falling in love, getting married, and now preparing to become king. As William watched the program with Kate, he held her hand tightly. "Are you scared?" he asked her quietly. "Yes," she admitted, "but also ready. We have been training for this our whole marriage." William nodded. "Just think, all of this happened because of what I whispered to you on that balcony. If that photographer had not caught your reaction, we might have announced this differently." Kate smiled. "Some whispers change everything," she said. "Sometimes a few words can change history." Outside their window, the sunset painted the sky orange and pink. A new day was coming. A new chapter in the story of the British royal family was about to begin. 1 week after the big announcement, Kate sat in her office looking at papers. There were so many things to learn before becoming queen. She had to know about laws, traditions, and royal rules. She also had to plan where her family would live. Would they move to Buckingham Palace right away, or stay at Kensington Palace a bit longer? William was busy too. He spent long hours with his father, learning final lessons about being king. Charles showed him secret papers that only kings and queens could see. He explained how to talk to world leaders and how to handle difficult political situations. "I never expected to have such a short time as king," Charles told his son. "But perhaps it is better this way. The country needs young energy and new ideas." Meanwhile, the rest of the world was still talking about the balcony moment. The photo of Kate's shocked face had become famous. People made jokes and funny pictures about it online. Some companies even used it in advertisements. "The look on your face when you try our new ice cream," said one ad, showing Kate's surprised expression. Kate laughed when she saw these ads. She was glad people could find humor in the situation. It helped make a serious change feel less heavy. The children were adjusting to the news in their own ways. The oldest was proud that his father would be king. The middle child had many questions about what it all meant. The youngest just wanted to know if they could bring their pet hamster to the new palace. Harry was still in London, helping with the transition. He and William spent more time together than they had in years. People saw them walking and talking in the palace gardens. Many hoped this meant the brothers were fixing their relationship after years of problems. "William needs all the support he can get right now," Harry told a friend who later spoke to a newspaper. "Our differences seem small compared to what he is facing." On a rainy Tuesday morning, Kate visited a nursing home as part of her royal duties. An old woman there gave her some surprising advice. "I was alive when King Edward gave up the throne for love," the woman said, holding Kate's hand. "Everyone thought it was the end of the world. But life went on, and his brother became a wonderful king. Your husband will be a good king too." Kate thanked the woman for her kind words. She felt a little better knowing that the royal family had faced big changes before and survived. That evening, Kate and William had dinner with the Prime Minister. They talked about the coronation plans and other official matters. When the Prime Minister left, William looked tired. "It never stops," he said, loosening his tie. "There are so many meetings, so many decisions. I knew being king would be hard work, but I never realized how much happens behind the scenes." Kate poured him a cup of tea. "We will learn together," she said. "Your father managed it. Your grandmother managed it for 70 years. We can do this too." Later that night, they sat with their children watching a movie. For a few hours, they were just a normal family. The children laughed at the funny parts. William and Kate held hands on the couch. No one talked about kings or queens or palaces. But reality was waiting just outside the door. Royal guards stood in the hallway. Staff members prepared for tomorrow's events. Newspapers with their faces on the front page sat on tables. In less than a month, William would become King William v. Kate would become Queen Catherine. Their whole lives would change forever. And it had all started with a whisper on a palace balcony that shocked the world. As they tucked their children into bed that night, William and Kate shared a look. They were scared but ready. Together, they would face whatever came next. 2 weeks before the coronation, Kate woke up early. She could not sleep well these days. There was too much to think about. She walked to the window and looked out at the palace gardens. The sun was just starting to rise, painting the sky pink and gold. William found her there, still in her nightgown, lost in thought. He put his arm around her shoulders. "Penny for your thoughts," he said quietly. "I was thinking about that day on the balcony," Kate replied. "How one whisper changed everything. If you had told me at any other time, in private, no one would have seen my reaction. There would have been no famous photo. We could have announced it normally." William nodded. Life turns on small moments, but maybe it was better this way. People feel like they were part of the story from the beginning. Their quiet moment was interrupted by a knock at the door. A staff member entered with a large box. "The final design for Your Majesty's coronation crown has arrived," the woman said, placing the box on a table. Kate still felt strange when people called her Your Majesty. She was not officially queen yet, but everyone had started using the title already. She opened the box carefully. Inside was a beautiful crown made of gold and diamonds. It was smaller than the heavy crown Charles had worn, designed specially for her. "It is lighter than traditional crowns," the staff member explained. "We know you mentioned concerns about the weight." Kate tried on the crown and looked in the mirror. A face she barely recognized looked back at her. Was this really happening? Was she really about to become Queen of England? Later that day, William went to visit his mother's grave. Princess Diana had died many years ago, but William still missed her. He wished she could be here to see him become king. He placed flowers by her gravestone and stood in silence for a long time. "I think she would be proud," said Harry, who had come with him. "She always said you would be a wonderful king someday." The brothers walked back to the car together. Photographers took pictures from a distance, respecting their private moment. These photos would appear in newspapers the next day, showing the brothers united in their grief and in preparing for the future. Back at the palace, final plans for the coronation were being made. The guest list included kings and queens from other countries, famous singers and actors, and important political leaders. Security plans were being checked and double-checked. The police practiced crowd control in the streets around Westminster Abbey, where the ceremony would take place. Kate was having her final fitting for her coronation dress. It was white with gold details, designed by a famous British fashion designer. The dress would later be displayed in a museum as part of history. "Not too tight?" asked the designer as she pinned a section of the dress. "It is perfect," Kate said, turning to see all sides in the mirror. Simple but elegant. That evening, the family ate dinner together in their private dining room. The children talked excitedly about their roles in the coronation. They would walk behind their parents in the ceremony, wearing special clothes made just for them. "Will everyone be watching us on TV?" asked the youngest child, looking worried. "Yes, but do not worry," Kate said gently. "Just smile and walk slowly, like we practiced." After the children went to bed, William and Kate looked at final details for the big day. The schedule was planned down to the minute. When to arrive, where to stand, what to say. There was no room for mistakes in such an important ceremony. 2 weeks from now, it will all be over, William said, closing the folder of papers. "We will officially be king and queen." Kate took a deep breath. And a new chapter begins, all because of a whisper on a balcony that shocked the world. Outside their window, London continued its busy nightlife. Most people there had no idea of the nerves, the plans, and the emotions inside the palace walls. They only knew that soon they would have a new king and queen. And they all remembered how it started with that surprising moment on the balcony. 1 week before the coronation, London was buzzing with excitement. Shops sold plates, cups, and T-shirts with William and Kate's faces on them. People from other countries flew in to be part of the historic event. Hotels were full. The streets were crowded. Inside Buckingham Palace, William sat in a meeting with royal advisors. They were discussing his first official speech as king. William wanted to talk about things that mattered to him: helping the poor, protecting the environment, and supporting mental health services. The advisors nodded, taking notes. "Your Majesty, these are excellent topics," said one older advisor. "But we must also respect tradition. The first speech sets the tone for your entire reign." William looked out the window. He wanted to be a different kind of king. He wanted to make real changes in the world, but he also respected the traditions that had lasted for hundreds of years. Finding the right balance would be his biggest challenge. Meanwhile, Kate was in another part of the palace, practicing the coronation ceremony. She walked slowly down a long hallway, carrying a heavy Bible. A woman walked backward in front of her, counting her steps. 1, 2, 3, pause. Look to the right. Nod. Continue walking, the woman instructed. The timing must be perfect. Kate had practiced this walk many times now. Every movement, every expression had to be just right. Millions of people would be watching. She did not want to make a mistake. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. It was a text from her sister Pippa. "Just saw the commemorative tea towels with your face on them. You never told me being queen meant your face would be drying dishes all over England." Kate smiled. Leave it to her sister to make her laugh during such a serious time. That afternoon, the royal family attended a special church service. It was a chance for William to receive a blessing before becoming king. The old church was filled with the smell of flowers and candles. Sunlight streamed through the stained glass windows, casting colorful patterns on the stone floor. As they left the church, a crowd had gathered outside. People cheered and waved small flags. A little boy broke away from his mother and ran up to Kate. Security guards moved forward, but Kate waved them away. She bent down to speak to the boy. "Are you going to be a real queen?" the boy asked, his eyes wide. "Yes, I am," Kate answered with a smile. "Will you be a good queen?" Kate thought for a moment. "I will try my very best to be," she said honestly. The crowd clapped at her answer. Later, this small moment would be shared thousands of times online. People said it showed why Kate would make a good queen. She was kind and took time for ordinary people, especially children. Back at the palace, final security checks were being made. Police officers and security experts walked through every room, checking for any problems. Outside, special barriers were set up along the coronation road. Police dogs sniffed for anything dangerous. William spent the evening making phone calls to world leaders who would attend the coronation. He spoke with the American president, the French leader, and many others. Each call was short but important, building relationships that would matter during his time as king. Late that night, William found Kate sitting alone in the palace library. She was reading a book about past queens of England. "Learning from history?" William asked, sitting beside her. "Trying to," Kate replied. "Some were loved, some were not. Some made a difference, others just wore the crown." William took her hand. "You will be one of the good ones." "I know it." Kate closed the book. 1 week to go. Then it is real. William nodded. "It feels like a lifetime since that day on the balcony when I whispered the news to you. So much has happened. And so much is still to come," Kate said softly. They sat together in silence, surrounded by books containing hundreds of years of royal history. Soon, their own story would be added to these shelves, and it would always begin with that whispered moment that shocked the world. The day before the coronation arrived. The palace was filled with activity. Staff members rushed through hallways. Flowers arrived by the truckload. Security teams did their final checks. Everyone was busy with last-minute preparations. Kate spent the morning with her children. They were excited but nervous about their roles in the ceremony. She helped them try on their special outfits one last time. The clothes were made of fine materials, designed to match Kate's dress and William's uniform. "Remember, when you feel nervous tomorrow, just look for me," Kate told them. "I will be nervous too, but we will get through it together." The children nodded. They understood this was an important day for their family and for their country. Even at their young ages, they felt the weight of royal duty. Meanwhile, William was saying goodbye to his father as king. Charles would officially step down after the coronation. He would hand the crown to William in the ceremony. This was a rare event in royal history. Most kings and queens only left the throne when they died. "Any last advice?" William asked his father as they walked through the palace garden. Charles thought for a moment. "Be true to yourself while serving your country. It is a difficult balance, but you must find it to be happy." William nodded. He knew his father had struggled with this balance for many years. Charles had strong opinions and causes he cared about, but as king, he had to be careful about what he said publicly. In another part of London, a large stage was being built. After the coronation, famous singers would perform at a special concert to celebrate the new king and queen. Workers tested lights and sound equipment. Giant screens were set up so people in the park could watch the ceremony. Back at the palace, Kate received a surprise visitor. It was the photographer who had taken the famous balcony photo. The palace had invited him to take official coronation pictures. "I never expected that one photo would lead to all this," the photographer said. "When I caught your surprised expression that day, I knew it was a good picture, but I had no idea what was behind it." Kate smiled. Sometimes the most important moments happen when we least expect them. As evening fell, William and Kate attended a small dinner with close family members. Charles and his wife were there. So were Kate's parents and sister. Harry sat beside his wife, who had flown in from America for the event. It was a rare moment when all sides of the family were together. Charles stood to make a toast. "Tomorrow, the crown passes to a new generation. I could not be prouder of William and Kate. They will lead this country with wisdom and compassion." Everyone raised their glasses. There were tears in some eyes. This was the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. After dinner, William and Kate took a walk alone in the palace gardens. Security guards watched from a distance, giving them privacy on their last night before becoming king and queen. "Are you ready?" William asked. "As ready as I can be," Kate replied. "It still feels unreal sometimes. When I was a little girl, I never dreamed I would be queen." William stopped walking and turned to face her. "I could not do this without you. You know that, right?" Kate nodded. "We are a team. We always have been." They stood together under the stars, taking in the quiet moment. Tomorrow, the world's eyes would be on them. There would be noise, ceremony, and celebration. But tonight was just for them. Back in their rooms, they found handwritten notes from their children on their pillows. Simple messages of love and support. Kate wiped away a tear as she read them. "They understand more than we think," William said softly. As they prepared for bed, neither could sleep. The weight of tomorrow hung in the air. In less than 24 hours, they would be King William V and Queen Catherine. Their lives would never be the same. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if I had told you the news anywhere else but on that balcony?" William asked. Kate thought about it. The result would be the same. We would still be here, the night before the coronation. But the journey might have felt different. William nodded. That whisper changed everything, in ways we never expected. Outside their window, London prepared for the biggest royal event in decades, and it had all started with a few quiet words that shocked the world. Coronation Day dawned bright and clear. London streets were already filled with people before sunrise. They claimed spots along the route, laying out blankets and chairs. They'd brought food and drinks for the long wait. Some had camped out all night to get the best views. Inside the palace, the day began early. Kate was awake at 5 in the morning. A team of people arrived to help her get ready. Her hair, her makeup, her dress all had to be perfect. As she sat in front of the mirror, she thought about how far she had come. From an ordinary girl to Queen of England. It seemed impossible. William was in another room, being dressed in his ceremonial uniform. It was heavy with gold decorations and medals. His hand shook slightly as staff members fastened the buttons. This was the moment his entire life had been leading to. The children were also being dressed and prepared. They were excited now, the nerves from yesterday replaced by the special feeling of the day. They kept peeking out windows to see the growing crowds. At 9 in the morning, the royal cars were ready. Shiny black vehicles with the royal flag waited outside the palace. Security teams checked everything one last time. Police lined the streets. Royal guards in red uniforms and tall black hats stood at attention. William and Kate had a final quiet moment together before leaving. They stood in a small private room, holding hands. "The next time we are alone, we will be king and queen," William said. Kate squeezed his hand. "Whatever happens today, remember I am right beside you." The journey to Westminster Abbey took 20 minutes. People cheered as the royal cars passed by. They waved flags and took pictures. Some called out, "Long live the king," and "God save the queen." Inside Westminster Abbey, 2,000 guests waited. Kings and queens from other countries sat in special seats. Famous people from all walks of life were there. Politicians, actors, singers, sports stars. They all stood as the royal family entered. The ceremony was ancient and beautiful. Parts of it had not changed for hundreds of years. William and Kate walked slowly down the aisle. Their faces were serious but calm. Behind them came their children, then Harry and other family members. Last came King Charles, ready to pass his crown to his son. The Archbishop of Canterbury led the ceremony. He spoke about duty, service, and love. William knelt before him. The crown was placed on his head. Heavy and golden, it shone in the church lights. "I present to you King William V," the Archbishop announced. "God save the king." Everyone in the church repeated, "God save the king." Then it was Kate's turn. She knelt where William had knelt. Her crown was placed on her head. It fit perfectly, just as the designers had planned. "I present to you Queen Catherine," the Archbishop said. "God save the queen." Again, the crowd responded, "God save the queen." When they stood and turned to face the crowd, William and Kate were no longer just a prince and duchess. They were king and queen of the United Kingdom and 15 other countries around the world. As they walked back down the aisle, the church bells began to ring. Outside, cannons fired in celebration. The sound echoed across London. People cheered in the streets. Flags waved in the wind. The royal family appeared on the balcony of Buckingham Palace an hour later, the same balcony where William had whispered the life-changing news to Kate. The circle was complete. Thousands of people stood below, looking up at their new king and queen. Airplanes flew overhead, leaving trails of red, white, and blue smoke in the sky. The crowd roared with excitement. William and Kate waved to the people. Their children stood beside them, waving too. Charles stood back, looking proud of his son and daughter-in-law. William turned to Kate and whispered in her ear again, just as he had that day months ago. This time, she smiled instead of looking shocked. No one would ever know what he said this time. It was their private moment in the middle of this very public day. Later, when asked by a close friend what William had whispered on the balcony after the coronation, Kate would only say, "That is between a king and his queen." The world would always remember how this new chapter in royal history began. With a whisper that shocked Kate, a whisper that was caught on camera, a whisper that led to one of the biggest royal changes in modern times. And as King William V and Queen Catherine began their reign, people would tell the story for years to come. The story of how a few quiet words on a palace balcony changed the course of history and shocked the world.